And you really have to give credit to Spirit with their new CEO. He's coming in and
Yeah.
he's making some changes, right?
Yeah. He's
One
doing
of the
something at least.
One of the two that comes to mind is the increased legroom, trying to go for a more premium aircraft. It looked like the first 40 seats were going to have increased legroom and wider seats. Everybody was always complaining about just how uncomfortable that it was. It's almost like sitting on a dugout bench, like sitting on hardwood
Yeah.
for long periods of time. And the other one, I don't know if y'all saw it, but they had a partnership with Contour Airlines.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
That's so weird.
And I thought it was strange too. And I did some reading into it. It looks like Contour, they have a fleet of between 20 and 30 aircraft, Embraer 145s,
145, yeah.
and they service the towns with low population. What it
Mm-hmm.
looks like they're doing is partnering with Contour to bring them to like the big hubs. So say it's Alexandria, Louisiana to Dallas Fort Worth. Well, now Contour will take you from Alexandria to Dallas Fort Worth, and then you get on a Spirit jet and go to your final destination. So I got to give props to them because they're trying, and I agree with you as well. Silence means something's moving, but it was good to see those two come out in the past few weeks. So credit to them.
One thing to add on top of that, the article I looked at for the extra legroom, there was someone who went and actually did an interview and looked at all these things. They are the customer service side of things. They're trying to match what Southwest is in terms of the product. So what they thought of was the customer base was actually 50-50 split on if they liked the block to middle seat versus extra legroom. But what they're doing now is able to take, instead of like 3 rows of blocked middle seats, where what is that? So 8 times 3, so 24 seats instead of like 24, whatever it is. Now they're able to extend that to 40 seats.
Yeah, they're
And
moving
there's
further
enough
back.
of a market. There's enough of a market for them to be able to sell those. And they might look at their load factors and all those different kind of metrics to see if that actually is a good smart business decision. So I think it'll be interesting to see what Frontier does in that sense of now if they're going to model it the same way once they get the big front seats or the first class. Are they
Right.
going to get rid of the block middle and switch over to just extra legroom seats instead of that?
Well, Frontier
So
already
just
announced
make
they're doing
money.
that.
They're taking away the block middle seat.
Yeah, they put out a big press release when they picked their seats. This was in the last month. I think we talked about it. Anyways, I'll post the pictures in the link. Yeah, they are in the article. I believe it said by midsummer they were going to try to convert the whole fleet to basically match Spirit's current. Like I think Spirit has like 3 rows of the big front seats, and basically Frontier's just matching their aircraft. Which
I'm saying the one behind it though, the blocked middle seat. Because
yeah.
what Spirit did was that they have the first class seat and then the
Oh, and then they
blocked
were
middle seat is
blocking
their next
further
one.
middle seats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought we were just talking because Frontier was doing that. Now they're transitioning to
Yeah.
the big seats. Spirit was blocking further rows. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. I don't mean to sound like an
That
idiot.
never made a lot of sense to me because, I mean, yeah, you might pay 20, 30, 40, $50 extra for that blocked middle seat, but passengers is what's paying these bills. You need to have these aircraft full
Yeah,
as
man.
possible. I mean, it's yeah, $50 to not sit next to somebody great, but as an airline perspective, you got to get butts in the seat.
And
Well,
the yields are going to be better on that too. That's
so
my perspective.
I think the argument to why the block middle seat makes more sense if they can sell them is because basically you're having the passenger pay for both seats, and they're not carrying the weight because now
Okay.
they're burning less fuel, they have more baggage space available, and the seat's still getting covered, and they don't have to deal with checking the passenger in, carrying the
I'll
extra
buy that.
load, all that.
Can I put?
Go ahead.
So what I'm thinking is, could they charge the same amount as a block middle seat as an extra legroom, but instead of and being able to get that capacity back by the middle seat as well?
Oh, so you're thinking like Comfort Plus versus just like, well, while you were talking about that, I was thinking, I'm like, well, if you look at all the legacies, right, and the regionals flying the legacies, you usually have like 5 to 7 rows of first class seating. So the market's there for that many rows because those seats are never empty. unless somebody misses their flight or
With
whatever.
loyalty rewards and
Right.
all those different
Right,
types of
right,
things.
right. And so, I know people like to poo-poo on the ULCC loyalty stuff, but, I've heard recently on a personal level from people who have, who are loyalty members of both Spirit and Frontier's programs, and they're
It's
like,
the
man,
best.
they love it. They're like, oh, I'm gold or platinum, whatever those two airlines call their programs. And they're like, it's awesome. I don't have to pay the baggage fees anymore. Like, I don't do any of that stuff. I just show up, and I feel like while everybody else is complaining about their problems and complaining about the fees, if you're part of the loyalty program just from getting their credit card or whatever, you don't have any of those problems. It's like being a Delta or United customer all the time, right? I think this is where those two airlines should have put a lot more effort into their loyalty programs because it does solve a lot of their customer service issues. The problem is because they're marketing to the infrequent low cost flyer, those people aren't as frequent flyers, right? So it's kind of double-edged sword where it's going to be harder to get their loyalty because they're only flying once a year, maybe.
It is
If that
interesting,
makes sense.
but with Frontier and Spirit, they are flying major city to major city. There's always people
They
that
are.
have to go from Philly to Fort Lauderdale. There's always people that have
Sure.
to go from Las Vegas to Dallas.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there is still people that need to go to these cities. And now, what American, United, and Delta is doing with their credit cards, they make so much money through their credit cards now. They're almost like a bank that they've been able to block out a portion of their aircraft to sell those seats for the same price that Spirit's was doing. So that's where the big problem is now you can fly for $30 more on American from city to city versus saving your money and going and flying Spirit or Frontier. That's the way I look at it. It
And
might be dumb.
I think that's the entire reason why there needs to be consolidation between the two companies.
Mm.
Because as that
Right.
happened over the last 5 years, being able to do that and the turning into banks, from better or worse, they lost their competitive edge, and now they're competing against each other for $30 tickets. I went back and re-listened to the merger announcement back in 2022, or their call that they did, and one of the biggest things that they saw an opportunity with was being able to combine both the companies in creating a way larger route map and basically for loyalty. And if you listen to how Barry is talking about it to investors in the last couple earnings calls and investor updates that they do every couple months, basically he's saying that we have like 0.1% of what United makes on their credit cards. He's like,
Hmm.
if we could get to 0. I don't know, 5%, like literally just like half a percentile more, it's millions of dollars extra. And he's like, if we can go in that direction, we're going to win in that sense because now you have the scale. You're not competing against anyone else for $30 tickets. You can better price match and you have better reliability in that sense. And your, I don't know, value proposition to a passenger is way better at that point. And then another thing he told everyone was, hey, we're looking at international partnerships, and that has to be something in our footprint long term.
Yeah.
And so he's like, we're so consumed right now with getting our loyalty program where it needs to be that we have yet to make any announcements on different partners around the world that we want to go with. And so I think you're going to start to see that change. It just like how all these other legacies had issues before they consolidated, it's the same type of thing. And I think that there is enough market share for a combined company, and there's $1 billion of cost savings they're saying. And I think there's a way better advantage going forward. They just need to be able to right size the ship. So I think we'll see something like that come down the pipe. That's why I believe so firmly in it.
Well, I mean, we talked about this previously, John, but like, I think you know the number. What's the percentage of profits the those legacies are all making on their credit cards? It's
It was like
substantial, right?
it's like $1 billion a quarter. And so they're about $4
Quarter.
billion in revenue per year, I believe. I could be wrong. To the listeners, I am off at 2 hours of sleep again, so just letting you know. Anyways, though they're able to offset all of those basic economy tickets based upon that $4 billion.
Isn't it like at
They,
least 30% of their income is from credit cards?
yeah,
It's
it's an
substantial.
immense.
Yeah.
Their entire business hinges on their ability to have these deals.
Yeah.
So They were not like this in 2015. And that's why the margins were flipped, with the low cost carriers having 20% margins and the legacies like Delta having like 5%. And that was a good quarter for them. Their chasm as well is something that people don't realize. Frontier, it's literally, I think, 6 cents per seat mile. Delta's 18. It is literally 3 times more expensive to operate an A321neo than it is at Frontier. So, like, if you have those kinds of cost savings with your employees, with the airframes, with everything, boiled down, how much do you really need to be charging to be able to start making some serious money? If you have the consolidation where you're not competing against those $30 tickets between the two companies, maybe it's $75 ticket, or maybe it's $60,
which is still great.
Economies of scale is insane. These are multi-billion-dollar companies. So I know it's Frontier. I can't remember, it's billions of dollars, but like, you average that out across an entire year, and even if you get $5 more per seat, that's hundreds of millions of dollars probably. So that's kind of my perspective with it.